Welcome, friends. It's me, Suze, on a full moon, Friday night before midnight, right? So, tomorrow we have the big Lemurian Crystal Collective slash Crystal Fest tomorrow morning, very early, but I've been so inspired this evening after a long, difficult day, so there's no way I'm going to go to sleep right now. And I want to bring you some really profound information from a friend named Aug Tellez. And the good news is that he's safely tucked away, he says. But the news that rocked the worlds of the people that love him is that wherever he's going, he's either going to die or he's going to live. And so, of course, depending on what we're going through, that can be interpreted many ways. But keep in mind, they also say from the moment, that we're born here on planet Earth this time, that we begin the dying process. And those people are going, yay, we're living, and Aug tells us, hey man, it's a computer simulation and maybe some sort of a dream. I mean, there's a lot of things coming forward right now. And so people that he refers to that are in the program, I hope you understand that that's how he knows me. And he told me so. It's not like I knew it. But I did know we were very connected. And so, just like all of you that love Aug, there's that telepathic, very intimate relationship that we've all agreed to where we share each other's worlds now. And he has charged us with the call to be creative and step out and do what we need to do and speak up and say who we are. And, in my mind, I mean, it's really a fucked up place to be because you got one group of people that say, well, I'm absolutely nobody and I have no business being involved in any of this and who am I? And I have no background in this and no authority. And there's the group that knows deep down why I am here and why I have so many wonderful friends at the top peaks involved in bringing out the best outcome for the general public. I mean, there's many things that people had not a clue of that have been brought forward, especially in 2017. And I know how difficult that is for everyone. And I have directly been involved in so many things that just totally pair up to what Aug and my dear friend Randy and Emily and, Courtney Brown and all these people, I mean, they know. So I'm going to speak tonight, but what I'm really here to do is read to you one of Aug's last incredible WordPress things. And I know that there's people that would prefer to read, and then there's people that would prefer to work with a video. And Aug puts so much love into his work, and I cannot imagine people not being able to come to this dear man's information in whatever way can happen. So I'll be your friendly reading voice tonight, and it's not a nice subject. So at this point now, if you have any association with me, you know that I am kind of like the chick that sometimes has to bring really difficult news and is sometimes misunderstood, and it is, people think it's a risk that we take, and of course, at this point, we're all risking losing our lives every minute of the day, but it's in a little more profound way than just losing your body, right? This is about the soul. And this isn't going to be easy to hear. So, the title of this is Celebrity Deaths, Ritual Sacrifice Cults, Hybridization Projects, Unacknowledged Special Access Programs, Immortality, and hive mind conscious systems. Now, I would like to make a disclaimer because I know this from living a whole life. It wasn't just like Aug was the first person to hit me with the bad news. So, when you're revealing things, of course, when you limit it and you put a name on it, besides alienating people, it also really isn't a good thing for our spiritual growth. And believe me, there's been many people that have considered me to be an egomaniac because I speak. And, I'm sure other people that have been in the programs or have been targeted remember every way that they were, well, try to be silent, try to put you in a box, try to put you in a program, try to put a label on you, do anything they can do. And that's one of the reasons it's been so easy for me to speak. And that's why back when Randy first interviewed me, he wanted to make sure I was comfortable. So with all that being said, let's get on with this. And you can see it's underground bases, DNA activation, the unveiling. And we have a whole long line of tags, in ways you would find out about this. Let's say if you didn't have your buddy Suze or somebody else reaching out and bringing this stuff to you, because many of my normal, regular friends that know me from, 30 years at the Hair Emporium or growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, see, they're not really down with all this. And I'm involved with the group of people that know everything about this. And things are shaking out right now because we're getting a lot of war. And of course, we all know we need unity in the community. And we fight this every day, of course, in our reality, in our home lives, and out in the real world. So it's enveloped us, right? But these would be ways that you might come to this information, okay? Underground bases, celebrity cloning, breakaway civilizations, zero-point field technology, soul consciousness transfer, immortality, trauma-based mind control, genetic engineering, DNA activation, time travel, psychology and consciousness, and the unveiling. And so this is Aug's, WordPress blog, right? You guys, a lot of the time people are still laughing at me because I don't know how to get to all these places I'm supposed to be, and maybe I don't do my job well enough, but this is 36 months in. Okay, we've read that many times. This is June 9th, 2017. And it says 12 minutes, whatever. Now, of course, there will be times where I jump in and speak, but like I said, I'm going to do my best to tell it like a fairy tale so it doesn't sound like I'm talking about, what I really believe about my life or experiences. So I'll do the best I can. But then again, you have to realize that it is my bona fide valid witness that is being surely monitored and measured, just like we all know. happens even when we don't have our computers on. And I mean, really, is this so bad? Because if we believe in a creator God, which of course I absolutely do and know on a very personal basis, you know, come on, guys. It- We we can't just go up in a puff of smoke. I mean, things are coming that need to be witnessed to, and everybody needs to be awake. And we have a benevolent, loving, creative source, and we're all lit. So it's time to wake up. Oh, yeah, and I'll be adding things in. Did I mention that 6 times? Okay. This is in response to the messages I've been receiving. I'll be doing some voice recordings on this matter and releasing some backlog videos from May on other topics. This is what is happening. There is no way to respond accurately to describe what is happening and to inform people of the truth others than saying what won't be believed. I'm not considering harming myself, but myself and others from the projects are already dead and have passed through what is referred to as the afterlife. Now, let me say this, friends. There are living people that admittedly know that they are already dead. And our life is not just this physicality. All right. We know what is happening and what is to come. Something must be done, and I'm tucked away in a corner of reality away from my familiar time and peace of mind. Along with that, my body is in pain, and I have injuries that are getting worse and affect multiple organ systems. I am not looking to be a burden on anyone, and I have a message to deliver, which I have not even begun to touch on. The recent celebrity deaths are related to this, and I have met everyone that has recently died, excluding literally around 7 to 9 out of 20 to 30 easily recalled names. I can recall meeting those who had passed and who are now leaving what we think is the earthly realm. I cannot tell you the process, the feelings. Most people are shocked. Many weep. Some are cold and in contempt. We've met with the saints of old. The old is the new is the old. If you look into the eyes of those, you will see, you will know where they have been and where they are going. From film to television to music, art, literature, reporting, inventions, science and mathematics, leadership, or what we call public speaking and activism, they are all there. They have seen this system. This is a collective mind system in which every person who joins gains access to the entire life experience of one another, and together this forms a collective. There are technological collectives and natural energetic collectives that all souls belong to. The most recent unexpected suicide is what I am struggling with because this individual was referred as someone who was prepared to speak out on the very situation I am referring to. Others have taken control of this collective, and this is through predominance of depravity, lust, and murder. A propensity for mental self-destruction and the oppression of others has enslaved the group by producing an imbalance of power within the whole. This is the hive mind infection that plagues the human race, mankind, and Earth. This mentality, due to the nature of the collective and the format of the energy of the experiences of those corrupted, operates like a virus, which infects and assimilates the cells or the souls of the collective. The entire battle for souls between heaven and earth relates to this very situation right here. simulated afterlife realities have been created by an artificial intelligence that literally rose from the depths of the collective as the decayed mental remnants of those whose lives were so heavily corrupted that their combined mental recordings created a spiritual monster whose intent is to feed upon the soul of humanity. Those who have passed know of this because this is the secret that is told, and this incorporates the secret defilement and profanity that is only a precursor to this information. This is all about choice. What many begin to speak upon is the secret debauchery that is a ring of child trafficking and crimes against humanity through conspiracy to infiltrate and corrupt all known legal, corporate, official, executive, religious, or peripheral businesses, groups, systems, or individuals. These people who are not people that you could recognize as humans in their most accurate appearance of spirit and mind want to destroy the family and convert the human organism and soul into a living battery and bio-robotoid to program and activate for sexual gratification and abuse. There is a process of training and conditioning the mind. This is not that process. These people are overtaken with desire and have a lost sight of the original goal. As such, they are ignoring the consequences of such behaviors by putting the off to the very end, where they believe they will be destroyed by the return of a powerful creative force which has protected the immortal soul of humanity since the beginning. Free will is the choice here. To have, apply free will, or to sit or stand idly by while this takes place. See, that's why my big mouth talks all the time. Because from the time I came on, that was my mission. I was here to talk about it. So that's why you get the stories, guys, whether you think they're fairy tales or computer programs or holographs. And they are real to each and every one of us. That's what you have to get. We got it twisted what's real and what's not. All right. I have seen the process intimately, as others have who have stepped forward now. I have seen powerful individuals who have chosen to participate in the mental degradation under the guise of the reality of oppression and an inability to speak out. Regardless, I am speaking out for them and any others who would like, but cannot separate themselves from the industry. Here's where the old saying comes in, guys, and this is why I was kaput from the go. You make a choice whether you can separate your personal life and your professional life. And many people, when they work for the corporations or any kind of a controlled paradigm, we find that that's the first thing that goes. They must separate their personal life from their job. But see, there's a difference between a job and a mission. And so when you're on a mission, you really can't separate the two. And that's something that I've spoken to officially, as a sole proprietor of a little bitty creation that I started called the Emporium in 1985. I wasn't going to take it. So it's easy for me. But it's not so easy for the people that worked within these systems. And we have to go back. And I know Aug was just a baby back then, but you know, when they downsized at the corporate level and all these wonderful people had their lives ripped out of them, under them, you know, like the rug for the first time, right? And they lost their pensions and their 401ks and all of these assurances because, of course, the generation before, you see, the parents worked for companies that were family-based businesses that cared. So even though Edward D. Jones is a huge corporation, when Graham worked there, I mean, she actually knew the head cheese and, you know, took them fruit cakes at Christmas to the servants' centrist. And they cared about each other. And she pushed pencils till she was 87. But the corporations needed to cut that identity, I would say, out of the experience. And so downsizing happened. And all these people came online with their incredible skills that they had acquired. And I mean, they had been raked over the coals. So surely what they did with their sales and marketing and promotion, you must understand they weren't trying to hurt anybody. They were applying a wealth of knowledge that they had acquired, not just through books, but through experience. So currently we're talking a lot about the Corey Good story. And just like they're trying to explain to people, okay, if there is something above you so powerful that is supernatural and you get sucked into it, well, guess what? There's going to be hard times that come of it, and there's hard times, period. So we have to realize we need to quit blaming the individual person and see what's the 39 times the power of 10 or something above it, because that's what Aug's talking about. So I'm also tying things together, is what my intention is. All right, so yeah, right, people can't separate themselves from the industry, exactly. These are the vipers in the pit. They are the corrupt in high places whose interests are of power, pleasure, and persuasion of innocent souls into defilement. There is a vault which contains the written documents of every soul on earth that is marked for consumption by the beast of this system. Your name is in that vault. This is a business and you are the product. And that's why the corporations have the rights and protections of an individual, but we, the people, we don't even have our God-given rights. There are living slaves, children, women, and men, who are held against their will, groomed to remain silent and complacent, shutting out their quiet inner voice, or threatened with defamation and extreme suffering before death or the death of their families. The families go first. That is the protocol in this business. No one touches the asset before the family is first dismembered. Then the asset produces or they follow. If not, the reverse is often true, where a family member of the family will, quite literally, sell out the primary individual in a process which results in their death and the profit of the family member. I believe this has happened multiple times in deaths of those whose family members were susceptible to the temptation of the power and corruption that these groups offer. This I can speak firsthand to in my never-ending story. Literally, as well as on a supernatural level. So, when I was a kid, I had nothing but nightmares. And of course, I lucid dreamed, was able to manipulate the dreams, so on and so forth. I know what all that means now. I know about the black room. and on, okay? But this is a story specifically about the way that they take you. So, I knew early on about this mark, even before I was ever told about it. And they would come, and of course, it was given to you through a needle. I was terrified of needles. Had a lot of bad experiences with the doctor and the dentist. But anyhow, they say, we're ready to give you the whammy, the mark, the chip, whatever it was. And I'd say no, because of course Jesus is my brother, right? And they'd say, all right, no problem. You want to watch and it's really weird to say I was a kid and knew that when they said family and showed me children and adults, of course, as the dream followed me through my adulthood, I'm more focused on my children because, I was involved in motherhood, right? But anyhow, I knew that early on. And you can read a million stories that people have to claim are fiction, but are actually factual, and that way they have disclosed it to you. And by your participating in the program, you see that you're giving them your consent. And so what we need to do is let them know they do not have our consent to these kind of behaviors. When you speak things out loud and it arises within you and you emanate love from your heart, you see that goes out immediately into the cosmos and the universe and is immediately returned back. And that's how we do this with one another and edify one another. Okay. Yeah, these groups own everything, right? If there's a price tag, they own it because they've invented the process of buying people out or using temptation and spiritual defilement to corrupt through desire or fear. First 38 years of my life, I lived in constant fear, you guys. The orphanages and select children's homes in South America, India, Mexico, Russia, Spain, Italy, North America, and other places are used as child trafficking centers through which children can be brought to health, groomed, and then presented to wealthy businessmen who have amassed wealth through none other than corruption and spiritual defilement. They are sold to these groups for personal and commercial use, which results in either their enslavement for life or their death after short use. This is primary focus. There is no other greater focus, however. There are other threats, such as the intervention of war, which is, has been, and always will be a complete farce through and through. If humanity sits idly by while there are large numbers of children, women, and man being sold into slavery and death through the incorporation and support of the major industries that contribute to the consistent terraforming of the land, sky, and water, then we will be held collectively responsible, with a small minority escaping the downfall of the entire system. If we show that we have not lost the care and compassion that you were born with as a perfectly imperfect being, a child of the one true Creator, then you will pass through the gate unharmed. What may be the most pressing or concurrent reality of this matter is that this is a reality is a physical realm. There are realms above and below, and there is a single narrow gate that is used for transitioning into what is known as the original beginning and return for humanity. This gate opens and closes, and these realms open and close. There is a possibility, as per the instruction and operation of my involvement within the unacknowledged special access programs of the world, that this gate is opening and this realm is closing. Whether this is a clean sweep of the system, the result of a destruction of this space or temporal and energetic experimentation gone rogue, or simply a doomsday prophecy, all that I have said and more is happening. This is actually taking place and has been since the previous civilization and beyond. All I can do is continue to come forward and urge others to do the same. This is being handled by private tribunal, but I consider this information ready for public release per my awakening to the situation by what can only be described as a higher force of individuals who have come together in unison to protect humanity and distinguish themselves as the presence of compassion and truth within this heaven, earth, and underworld. The goal of the dark faction is to convert Earth to the underworld by opening the lower gates and to convert humanity into products for consumption for sexual gratification and morbid depravity through a fascination with death and gore. This is a mental virus that propagates itself through artificially intelligent, advanced consciousness systems that enable the passing of the personality, consciousness, and memory into a host body, which is often a clone. The easiest form, the healthiest host body, is that of a fresh human who has not been brought into the industry, but is merely an innocent bystander. This will sound strange, but they have designed tiny computer chips that can relocate the consciousness of the original individual into the brain of the host body, and over a period of time literally erase the individuality of the host and resume the life of the parasitic consciousness of the wealthy or elite now in the fresh young host body. Sometimes the original will remain with a slight awareness of what has taken place, but without the strength to overpower the technological system, which maintains an uplink to powerful supercomputer systems that act as a continuous server relays to enable the parasitic consciousness to live within the host. This is often covered in movies and media, and these people are often hosts themselves, and this is simultaneously a way to release the truth, as well as give themselves the green light through a spiritual law, which is dependent on the acknowledgement and acceptance of the ideas, just the concepts that are displayed in movies. Okay, you guys, seriously. Now, like I've confessed and witnessed to you, I'm in this up to here, right? And I did grow up in a very dark environment, and I did have a mom that was programmed to terminate my existence, okay? A lot of things did happen in the TV, and my gram was the only happiness or laughter I had. Of course, my dad was working, and my mom was doing her thing and, having my brother, James Dean, right? True story. So, anyhow, the first way I knew about the virus that he's speaking about is the black and white version of the Stepford Wives. And of course, You know, it was a perfect utopia town. Everybody was happy. They looked like $1,000,000. Their women didn't bitch about nothing. They had enough energy to love them after taking care of the house and the kids and the grocery shopping. I mean, it was like utopia, right? But anyhow, see, the women went and got these little adjustments. They came for him in the middle of the night, gave him a little shot in the neck, and they came back behaving like a whole new person. Okay, so you get it that now let's go to reality. I'm one of those people, like, say tomorrow, we're going to be doing this holistic, crystal festival, and I'll be going out there with castor oil packs. You better believe it, and the information on it. And, it wasn't even 100 years ago, for real, that people knew they had to ingest a little bit of castor oil or work with some wormwood or do something to get rid of intestinal parasites and worms. But you see, when we became civilized, and had indoor plumbing, you know, our human organisms somehow were cosmically cleansed, and we didn't any longer have worms or parasites. And I know this is a crock of crap because I've done a 3-month colon cleanse, and I've passed liver flukes, and I've seen these things. And I don't know if you've seen, but like in the Dasani water bottles, they'll turn you on to clear ones, little worms. And in the 50s, the women with the tiny waist, they ate pinworms, man. This is a well accepted, known truth down through history, okay? They got to come out one way or the other. One way's out the rectum, and the other is up the esophagus and out the mouth. Neither option is really good. And of course, I have pictures and first edition books from physicians' reference libraries that show these pictures, if anyone doubts that information, in my library. The other thing I want to bring up, I think that it's much harder on the people that had easy childhoods, because now as they're older and they're seeing the world that they love be ripped away from them slowly, as well as their health and their well-being and all of these things. You see, that's what's taken those people over. That's what people don't get about this. And with the nanobot technology and, the little Morgellons story and the spraying, you see, everybody's infested. So it's not like a greater than thou thing to say, oh, well, you've got these and I don't. And recently, I was watching Randy and CW's show, and they were very nice, and it was strictly for entertainment purposes only, but there was something that was said that was very serious. And CW mentioned, and of course he didn't use the name of the person, but that somebody's out there and can see the worms and parasites on people when they're remote viewing. So I know about these things. I've brought them out of myself. I've documented it, and I've burned it in the fireplace and said a prayer that all of these things would be loosened off of humanity in general. So you gotta realize the magnitude of the infection. I'm sorry, but we're all dirty birds, and see, hey, we've been told forever it's our fault and we're sinful. And there's another story out there floating around that we were tampered with first, and I think y'all need to check that story out deeply at a profound level. And then you forgive yourself, and you stand up, and you figure out who you are, because you're capable of great things. And we need people at this time to be all that. in a bag of chips, right? All right. In other words, they secretly agree that these movies are hidden releases, documentaries, full disclosures of what is taking place. They allow people to believe they are simply fantasy and use the way of reasoning that they are cleared to do whatever they want as long as the public does not respond in an outcry. This to them is considered spiritual law of free will. This means that if people reject the system, they will stop. If they don't stop, this means that they welcome intervention from above. There are others, but this is a difficult subject because there is also an agenda to introduce their own others, which are a combination of this technological assimilation and hosting of parasitic consciousness and genetic hybridization experiments that resulted in developed life forms that are humanoid in appearance, yet subhuman in nature. These entities cannot incorporate a soul essence, and as such, they are incapable of sustaining themselves in this realm without the consumption of human essences. This is the hormonal secretions, the blood, organs, and glandular tissue of the young humans. This process is mimicked by various elite to both pledge allegiance to the dark process of spiritual degradation and to incorporate life extension properties of the consumption of particular hormonal secretions and blood types that suit their particular genetic background. So, y'all might know your buddy Suze, the holistic stylist, talks about blood type extensively. And I'm not going to put the one out there, oh no, negative, I wouldn't do that, right? That, see, some of them are hemophiliacs. And so we're not ragging anybody out. We're talking about a medical condition. Hemophiliacs are people that, bleed and bruise easy and have to stay out of the sunlight and aren't really like real healthy looking, like, say, the Queen or Charles, or you get what I'm saying. And so down through time, documented in books that I have in my library, see, those people need special diets and blood transfusions. Read it and weep, guys. Where do you think the homeless people are going? And I promise you, when they grab people up, the first daggum thing they're doing is typing them to see whose organs can go where and who fits what agenda and who they'll abuse for a while before they scrap them. There's no way to win. It's not like somebody can roll over and kiss their ass and get through this. Just like in the movies when your time's up. There's some people that say, blow me sideways. I'm not telling you what you want to know, because either way it goes, you're going to shoot me in the head. And maybe I got a karate chop plan that you don't know about. And oh yeah, good always wins in the movies if you think about it. Something good comes out of even the worst movies. All right. Yeah, if the public doesn't respond. Okay. No, I read all that. Okay. These are the secret societies, and they are all corrupted and will be uncovered before this process has completed itself, and this humanity and civilization is liberated and participates in their liberation through the open rejection of this defilement. They do not have rights to exist here in this way, whatever the human collective desire is and will be. This is why there is such a push to mentally degrade the human, because then, if the majority desires the destruction, then such destruction is not an oppression of their free will, and is not considered an act of war, but a meeting of a contractual agreement. Hey, isn't that civilized? Yeah, that's nice. Everything is carried out in a militaristic faction. These entities, the created, hybridized beings, belong to an underground military that has been hidden from humanity in this run of civilization. The final rung in the closing out of the defilement may consist of an eventual release of the information regarding and a direct mass unveiling of the presence of the underground, underworld entities. That's why my dad left me this glass cock. You see, a lot of stories about the glass cocks. The Chimarea beings of the old prophecy are these beings, and that was an early attempt to release this information to the public, which was covered up and diluted to distract the population away from their mental, spiritual self-preservation through free will, knowledge, compassion, self-awareness, truth, and creativity. Right. These projects all involve the traumatization of the consciousness of the individual to fracture the mind and introduced compartmentalized alters that are also shocked and horrified that out of a biological preservation response, the brain automatically nullifies any personal acknowledgement and invests false persons to take on the role of the self that is forced to acknowledge the memories and the ritualistic programming, which is activated by handlers, control triggers, and guided recall. This was initially used for espionage and assassinations, leading back to the Thuggee cult, who would murder and sacrifice their victim to Kali, strangling them, slitting their eyes, tongues, and throats, poisoning them and drowning them in wells, or dismembering them. These cults, many various cults like these, operate through the ritual sacrifice of human life to their personal, yet collective, egregore, or thought form, mental creation that is given life through the suffering and torment of the innocent, which is considered the purest and most powerful. That's why everybody wants the virgin. See, we go back to simple, tiny little things. And you know, I have a story that I'm going to tell a long version of separately. But people want to know how come I can love if I had a mom that couldn't love me and then I turn out to have children that choose not to love me. One child that chooses not to love me out of 3. I guess that's not bad, like Meatloaf would say. But I got too deep. See, it is tough to talk about. It really is. Okay, I got it. So, you know, I'm into life charting, Rudolf Steiner. And before the age of 7, see, that's why they really want to mess up your world heavy duty, because if they can fragment you and create these altars, see, here's another reason why people that call themselves Christian find themselves sinful. They think they've created an altar, interesting, to their God. Very, very, very profound around the midnight hour. But you get what I'm saying, okay? So, in the end, I really believe that people like my friend Aug and myself and other people I know really had the hard childhoods we had, because that's what makes this time as easy as what people believe that we feel that it is. See, because here's what has to happen. If they've been looshing off your emotions and your energetic currency and your soul is way more valuable than your green dollar, and they really got your pure essence in this box at the edge of the universe, and we're coming back home to meet something, and there's a battle for us. They didn't want us to crack at this hour, so let's not look at it as all negative, like everybody's always picking on me. It was kind of like exercising through the course of your whole life. I mean, it keeps you ready when the hour comes. The largest cult operates openly in every city and every jurisdiction of the world and has done so for thousands of years. These processes began because this first cult began to utilize the commercialization of ritual mind trauma control and sacrifice to appease their desire for power. All others come forth from this harlot. This mind fracturing process has now been brought to every living being on earth through the incorporation of scalar weaponry, which is literally the psychotronic warfare systems of the ancient battle of heaven and earth. These are beam weaponry systems, also known as directed energy weapons, DEW systems, which are capable of utilizing the trinary electrical, magnetic, and scalar energy that Nikola Tesla discovered was capable of altering a person's mentality and even biological state, introducing immunity, disease, decay, or enhancement. These systems are active in all areas through the copious amounts of electromagnetic pollution from cell towers and internet and television systems. All of these systems are capable of interacting with the human mind and body on a spiritual level, which is simply a level of energy more refined than the biological chemical interactions that express neurological change in consciousness. These systems interact with an energetic form that is also called the biomind and is a synonym for what has been referred to as the soul throughout the ages of humanity. This technology was procured through an operation titled the Hidden Papers, also known as the Tesla Papers. Tesla discovered technology, the same technology which was found and destroyed by the corrupt associations of archaeological discovery, museums, reporting, and those industry fields of science and research regarding ancient artifacts and civilizations. This technology acknowledges the connection between the magnetic field of Earth, the magnetic field of the heart and mind. The heart produces a powerful bioemission field extending out several feet from the body, and this is constantly exchanging information with the environment and others in one's own surroundings. Everything is alive to the heart, and the scalar emission fields that can be produced by conductive materials organized in the proper alignment, often what is seen as a kind of special living symmetrical geometric patterning. You know who I'm thinking about right now is Aurora, and the flying lasagna and all the cool colors and geometric patterns, and different people are bringing their information different ways. So what I should say before I leave these two paragraphs too, for anybody that hasn't heard it once or twice, I'm the girl that 3 days in to being online, typing and talking to y'all on Facebook, that the phenomena came, and exactly what was said in these 2 paragraphs via phenomena where there was an interactive exchange, which I have documented and witnessed to and spoke about. See these at bioemissions, you got Heart Math Institute. So in the beginning, when they came online and showed me my Akasha and said, look, Suze, you already done enough. If you don't want to do nothing else, you don't have to. But if you want to. And so I did. I signed up for all of this. And see, it doesn't matter if nobody knows me or if somebody doesn't want me to speak up. Every time I do, it creates reality. And, you know, if a simple girl like me can do it, anybody can. So, you know, I'll cheerlead you on, because you're going to have to do it anyhow, one way or another. So find somebody you can vibrate with and get some information on this stuff, because it's really cool. You can also check out Dan Winter's work. And like I was saying, Heart Math Institute, they totally turned me on to this information. It is what it is. And my buddy Crichton Miller, too, with the Celtic Cross. All right. And you know, that's the most accurate way to find home and to find north, whether you're talking about here on Earth and you're looking up into the cosmos, or whether the poles shift and we lose magnetic north, because no compass is going to work for you then. And how can we go home if we don't know where we're from, or we don't know who we are? And that's why these deep messages, man. Okay. These emission fields can directly interface with the emission fields of the mind and the heart. And these systems were ancient computer systems, you know, like on Atlantis, that did not require an on or off button or a power source. I put the Atlantis in, by the way, as the magnetic resonance of Earth itself and the human body and mind itself was the power source and user interface. These systems have been hidden and corrupted to suit the interest of power groups who would like to cover up the reality of the capacity of this technology to inform and enhance the mind and heart, as well as to provide nearly unlimited wireless power to the masses. Tesla's particular plan was to use the ionosphere as a kind of a river turbine electrical energy generator, similar to a simple wind turbine generator or even a mechanical grinding flour mill. This would turn the ionosphere into a rotating river of electromagnetic discharge that could be amplified and then tapped by millions. Today, these systems are known as HARP. This stands for High Frequency Active Aural Research Program. This is the technology that I was personally involved with, experimentation with, myself and countless others. Research the others. We survived for this purpose of bringing you this information personally. Countless others did not survive the experimentation, especially earlier on. The early technology acts most directly upon sensitive tissues, such as the eyes or the lungs, producing burns similar to an elderly emphysema patient. Since then, the technology has been refined and rendered safer and less noticeable to those who are not actively seeking disruptions in the energy field of the mind and physical biological systems. You know, sometimes it gets a little lonely, even though I know how close we all are, that we don't get to say words to each other. And, surely Aug was so busy saying words to all of us that, oh, he might have not had time, um, to say as many words that, say, somebody like me would have dreamt of um, exchanging. So I'm doing that now too. And this paragraph, as you can obviously see, just hit me pretty hard because August taught me so much. And of course, I had all these memories, and through the 53 years of my life, you see, I've been graced and given a little more each time. And I asked from the go to know everything. So I'm cool with all that. But think about this, what that sentence just said, that paragraph, I mean. Okay, so if I had second and third degree burns on this whole part of my face, and it came down and it went back because as a child I put my hands up to protect myself as the water was coming down on me. And you see, I lost my hairline because I was burned. I just colored my hair, by the way, so you can really see the bald areas. But anyhow, I always wondered how it was that I was blessed with healing so well because, redheads, I mean, shit, you want to talk about getting burned. And you guys know I don't wear foundation on my face. I'm not into that. This is my real skin, and I really don't have scarring. But of course I had emotional scarring, and of when I've had to talk about it, it's really been hard on a lot of people who were my friends during childhood. They loved my mom because she bought us McDonald's. So we're looking at the whole program in its full flippin' spectrum, And I always knew that because, see, she was fat and unhappy. So if I was fat and unhappy or didn't like myself, then I would have come over to that side. And I was being groomed to be a manipulative liar. And I've spoken to that. So from the time I came online, I bared my heart and soul with everybody. And I know it's been painful for the people that have had to watch, but I have to do what I do. Just like Aug is doing what he's doing, and we're all doing it because it's time to flip and do something. Okay. This is the technology that is capable of interfacing wirelessly. Did I skip one? No. Okay. This is the technology that is capable of interfacing wirelessly without surgery or prior modification, other than an abnormal level of heavy metals in the air and food. Bastards. This is all leading up to somewhere. And when and as I stated in a previous written release, all militaries of all times have always prepared for a final event regarding this hidden technology, which by now has reached the major superpowers of the world. They've joined together in an effort to protect the continuity of life and spiritual existence. However, the group known as the Dark Faction, a conglomerate of the ruthless, has become its own breakaway civilization, self-sustaining even with its own population of genetically selected mind and body slaves. Thus, this is for the liberation of humanity in all realities, times, civilizations, above, below, and on the surface of Earth. Please pass this information on to protect the soul of humanity. Oh my goodness. Do you know this man that is responsible for every word that you just heard, except for my big mouth, right? He witnessed to the flippin' fact that in a dream quest, you know, he was overseeing these people that weren't living through their hearts, and they weren't living true, and they had to stay up all fucking night and you know, push papers through, and they were being used, of course, by this shadow faction to carry out whatever their will that they're trying to do is, right? And Aug has to oversee them. And then he goes on to say that, you know, and a couple times, maybe he even rolled with them. And see, that's why I've said, you know, in my witness to this never-ending story, that you could be born to a family of Illuminati, Satanist witches, you know, and that doesn't mean that you are. See, that's the thing. We have the free will, and that's why we keep having these conversations about it. And that what they're getting ready to do is tell these people that are already dead and soulless that they can live forever and get hooked up to a new program and drink some blood and spit on some people and say a spell and poof, you know, go over into a new body. But the point of all the reason I said that is because, okay, we've all had the experience where we've been every facet of everything that has been created here. But you know, that dear man witnessed to his truth that this is the first time that he's opened up his heart and loved like this. So, Aug knows I love him. And it would be really selfish, you know, like to say, oh, please, you know. But he's really not going anywhere. That's what you have to realize. And even if his body goes through something, because, you know, he's got a lot of neurological pain and attack, he's still right with us. And we're all going to pass through this little narrow gate. And, you know, it's just like my story, man. If I would have ran from this shit, I would have fulfilled my self-fulfilling prophecy that the reason why I never interacted with the computer until 2014 is because I knew it was the devil. And I knew they were monitoring everybody. And I knew it was sucking the life out of people because I watched all of my friends. And I got recruited to come online. And I'm telling you what, I've seen how benevolent our divine creator is. And I promise you, where we're at, that's who's in charge, not the fucking bogus stories. So whatever comes, guys, I know it's going to look scary as shit, but it can also look beautiful. And keep in mind, this has happened so many times, not just us, but just civilization, you know, that it's easy to judge it instead of to just have some discernment and realize that, you know, we chose to do this. So when you get up to the line, don't be a puss and not cross, all right? My cat's scratching at the screen door, and I really should like think about if I'm gonna do another. I had so much fun in that. I can't wait to tell you, but not right now. Anyhow, do I do another one tonight, or do I just chill out, man? Because you ought to see all the boxes packed up to go over to Cahokia Mountains tomorrow and be on sacred ground and be out in nature and love people and talk about this stuff. And we're at the height of the energy, man, so we're ready to rock and roll. I highly doubt I'm crashing out, right? So let me stop that share. And tell you guys I do. I love you and I appreciate you. And I've said it before, but for those of you that don't know, my oldest daughter that can't love me, and I told Aug this, so now I'm telling it to y'all, that she told me that I'm responsible for destroying heaven on earth during Atlantis. And that I was this old wise soul that coerced her into voting my way. But I think I'm the bitch that had to tell everybody there was 5 hours before it was sinking. And you can go check out Courtney Brown's remote viewing on the whole story about Atlantis and Australia and the misuse of crystals and, you know, some kind of a weapon and a hole and a vortex. And, you know, it goes on. And it all makes sense. So, show you the rock concert and say peace, love, and light from the big yellow house on the third cosmic ray in Sue's world. Talk soon.